Have you ever wondered why some people reach their dreams while others spend their entire lives watching opportunities slip away? What if, at this very moment, you are unknowingly throwing away your future, one day at a time? Imagine holding the greatest treasure in the world in your hands, only to lose it little by little without even realizing its value. The frightening truth is that most people are doing exactly that every single day. They waste their time believing there will always be another tomorrow, another chance, another perfect moment. But what if tomorrow never comes the way you expect? What if the life you dream about is slowly disappearing while you continue to say, "I'll start later"? Welcome to Lessons for Life Tales, where timeless stories reveal the hidden truths that can completely transform the way you see your life. Today's story is about a young boy with extraordinary potential, but one dangerous habit nearly destroyed his future before it even began. He wasn't poor. He wasn't unintelligent. He wasn't unlucky. His greatest enemy was something millions of people struggle with every day: procrastination. He believed he had endless time ahead of him, but one unforgettable encounter with a wise sage changed everything forever. What the boy learned that day was so powerful, so life-changing, that it transformed him from a careless dreamer into a disciplined and successful man. And the lesson you are about to hear may change your life too. Because the saddest part of life is not failure. It's realizing too late that you wasted the precious moments that could have changed everything. So before we begin, subscribe to the channel and join us for more powerful stories that inspire growth, wisdom, and purpose. Stay with us until the end, because this story may completely change the way you look at time, opportunity, and your future forever. The young boy lived a life many people would envy. He had loving parents who cared deeply about his future, teachers who admired his intelligence, and opportunities that seemed endless. From the outside, his life looked bright with promise. Everyone believed he would grow into someone successful, respected, and accomplished. But hidden beneath all that potential was a silent habit slowly destroying his future day after day. The boy had become a prisoner of procrastination. Whenever his mother asked him to clean his room, he would casually reply, "I'll do it later." When his teachers assigned important schoolwork, he would lean back in his chair and whisper to himself, "There's still plenty of time." When friends invited him to join activities, learn new skills, or challenge himself, he always smiled and said, "Maybe tomorrow." At first, those words seemed harmless, just small delays, small excuses. But slowly, those excuses began shaping his entire life. Days turned into months, months turned into years. While his classmates pushed themselves forward, the boy remained standing still. His friends learned instruments, mastered sports, built confidence, and discovered talents hidden inside them. One by one, they began transforming into stronger, wiser, more disciplined versions of themselves. But the boy stayed exactly where he was, trapped inside the comfort of later. He was like a tree refusing to grow while the entire forest around him flourished toward the sky. Deep inside, something painful began growing within him. Every time he saw others improving, he felt a quiet emptiness he could not explain. He knew he was intelligent. He knew he had potential. But potential means nothing when it never becomes action. Slowly, frustration replaced confidence. Regret replaced motivation. Then came the day that shattered him completely. After failing one of the most important exams of his life, the boy sat alone in silence, staring at the ground with tears burning in his eyes. For the first time, he could no longer blame bad luck or difficult questions. Deep down, he knew the truth. He had wasted too much time. Seeing the pain in his son's face, the boy's father sat beside him gently and said, "Son, there is a wise sage who lives near the edge of town. Perhaps it's time you heard what he has to teach." Early the next morning, with disappointment still heavy in his heart, the boy made his way toward the edge of town where the wise sage was said to live. The path was quiet, lined with tall trees swaying gently in the morning breeze. As he walked farther from the noise of the village, an unusual stillness surrounded him. It was the kind of silence that made a person hear their own thoughts more clearly. At the top of a small hill stood a simple wooden hut beneath a massive old tree whose branches stretched wide like protective arms. Beneath its shade sat the sage, perfectly still, his eyes closed in peaceful meditation. The air around him felt calm, almost timeless, as if the world itself had slowed down in his presence. Birds sang softly nearby, and sunlight filtered through the leaves like golden threads dancing across the ground. The boy stopped for a moment, surprised by the strange peace he felt there. Inside him was frustration, confusion, and regret. But before him sat a man who looked completely untouched by worry. It was a contrast the boy could not understand. Slowly, the sage opened his eyes and smiled warmly. "What troubles you, my child?" he asked in a gentle voice. The boy let out a tired sigh. "Everywhere I go, people keep telling me the same thing, that time is precious, that I'm wasting my life. But I don't understand why everyone acts so afraid of time. I'm still young, I still have years ahead of me. Why should I rush? Why does everyone make it sound like life is running out?" The sage listened carefully, without interrupting. There was no judgment in his eyes, only understanding. After a long moment of silence, he looked toward the distant river beyond the trees and spoke softly. "My son, let me tell you a story." The moment those words left his mouth, the wind seemed to grow quieter. The boy leaned forward slightly, unaware that the story he was about to hear would completely change the course of his life forever. The sage looked into the boy's eyes and began his story in a calm, steady voice. Many years ago, in a small village beside a river, there lived a poor fisherman. Every morning before sunrise, while the rest of the world still slept, he would wake in darkness and walk alone toward the riverbank, carrying his old fishing net over his shoulder. His life was difficult and repetitive. Day after day, year after year, he fought against hunger, exhaustion, and uncertainty just to provide enough food for his family to survive. One cold morning, the sky was darker than usual. Thick clouds covered the moon, and not a single star could be seen above him. The path to the river felt endless. Only the sound of his footsteps and the distant flow of water broke the silence. The world around him seemed empty, lifeless, almost forgotten. As the fisherman walked carefully through the darkness, his foot suddenly struck something lying on the ground. He bent down and picked up a small cloth sack. It felt heavy in his hands. Curious, he loosened the rope slightly and touched what was inside. "Stones," he murmured to himself. "Probably some worthless rocks left behind by children." With nothing else to think about, he carried the sack to the riverbank and sat down beside the water to wait for dawn. The river was invisible in the darkness, but he could hear its slow, gentle current moving through the silence like time itself. The fisherman reached into the sack and pulled out one of the stones. It felt smooth and cold in his rough hands. Absent-mindedly, he tossed it into the river. Plop! The sound echoed softly through the darkness. For some reason, the sound relaxed him. So he threw another. Plop! Then another. Plop! One by one, he tossed the stones into the river while waiting for the sun to rise. Some made deep, heavy sounds. Others disappeared quietly into the water. As he continued throwing them away, his thoughts drifted toward his own life. Life is strange, he thought. Sometimes our burdens feel unbearably heavy until time slowly carries them away. The fisherman kept throwing the stones carelessly, never once questioning their value. The darkness hid the truth from him. Slowly, the night began to change. A thin line of golden light appeared on the horizon. The sky softened from black to deep blue. The river slowly revealed itself beneath the awakening dawn. The fisherman smiled faintly and reached into the sack one final time. There was only one stone left. He lifted it casually, preparing to throw it away like all the others. But at that exact moment, the first ray of sunlight touched the object in his hand, and suddenly, it exploded with light. The fisherman froze, his heart stopped, his breath vanished. What he held was not a stone. It was a diamond, a real diamond. For several terrifying seconds, he stared at it in disbelief as horror slowly spread across his face. His trembling hands opened the empty sack. Nothing remained. The truth crashed into him like a wave. All night long, he had been throwing priceless diamonds into the river. "No," he whispered weakly. Then louder, "No! No!" He fell to his knees beside the water, desperately staring into the river that had swallowed a fortune beyond imagination. Tears filled his eyes as panic consumed him. He cursed himself for his ignorance. He clawed at the empty sack as if somehow he could undo what had already been done. But it was too late. The river had taken everything. In the darkness, without understanding their value, he had thrown away treasures that could have changed his entire life forever. The fisherman wept uncontrollably because he finally realized the most painful truth of all. His future had slipped through his fingers in darkness. The sage fell silent for a moment, allowing the weight of the story to settle deep inside the boy's heart. The wind moved softly through the trees above them, and somewhere in the distance, the sound of the river echoed faintly through the morning air. Then the old man slowly turned toward the boy and spoke in a calm but powerful voice. "My child, do you understand now?" The boy said nothing. His eyes remained fixed on the ground as the meaning of the fisherman's pain slowly began to unfold inside him. The sage continued gently. The diamonds were never just diamonds. They were the moments of life itself. Every hour, every day, every opportunity we are given is precious beyond measure. But most people live in darkness, just like the fisherman. They cannot see the true value of what they hold in their hands. The darkness in the story represents ignorance, the sage explained. It is the blindness that makes people believe they have unlimited time. And the river, he pointed toward the distant water. The river is time itself. Once a moment falls into it, it is gone forever. The boy felt a chill run through his body. The sage's voice grew deeper, more emotional. Every time people say, "I'll start tomorrow," they throw another diamond into the river. Every dream postponed, every opportunity ignored, every hour wasted living without purpose becomes another treasure lost forever. The boy suddenly saw his own life inside the story. He remembered every excuse he had made, every task delayed, every chance he had ignored because he believed there would always be more time later. Until now, he had never realized what he was truly losing. Tears slowly gathered in his eyes. "I've been wasting my diamonds," he whispered. The sage looked at him kindly and placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Yes, but listen carefully. This story is not meant to fill you with regret. It is meant to awaken you." The boy slowly looked up. "You are still young," the sage said, with a warm smile. The fisherman realized the truth when he only had one diamond left. "But you still have many remaining in your sack. Your future has not disappeared yet. Your sunrise is only beginning." Those words pierced deeply into the boy's heart. For the first time in years, he felt something he had almost forgotten existed. Hope. In that quiet moment beneath the old tree, the boy made a decision that would change the rest of his life forever. No more waiting. No more excuses. No more throwing away the precious moments he had been given. He finally understood that life was not measured by how much time we have, but by how wisely we choose to use it. From the very next morning, something inside the boy had completely changed. The words of the sage echoed constantly in his mind like a voice he could no longer ignore. Every moment now felt valuable. Every hour felt like a diamond resting in his hands. For the first time in his life, he understood that time was not something to waste carelessly, but something to protect with purpose and discipline. When his mother asked him to finish a task, he no longer replied, "I'll do it later." He stood up immediately and completed it without hesitation. When teachers assigned schoolwork, he began working on it the same day instead of waiting until the last moment. Little by little, the habits that once controlled his life started disappearing. At first, the people around him were shocked. His classmates could hardly believe the transformation they were witnessing. The boy who was once known for excuses and delays suddenly became focused, disciplined, and dependable. He no longer wasted hours dreaming about success while avoiding the work required to achieve it. Now, he respected every minute as if it were precious treasure. Days became weeks, and weeks became months. Slowly, the boy began catching up to those who had once moved far ahead of him. But something even more remarkable happened. Because he now valued his time so deeply, he began progressing faster than anyone expected. His confidence returned, his mind became sharper, his actions became intentional. Years later, the same boy who once feared failure grew into a respected and accomplished man. People admired his discipline, his wisdom, and his ability to achieve goals that once seemed impossible. Many asked him the secret behind his success. Some believed he was naturally gifted. Others assumed he had simply been lucky. But whenever someone asked how he changed his life, the man would smile quietly and tell them the story of the fisherman and the diamonds. He would say, "The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is not talent alone. It is how they value time. Most people throw away their days without thinking. Successful people understand that every moment matters." And everywhere he shared that story, people began seeing their own lives differently. Because the truth is powerful. The moment a person truly understands the value of time, their entire future can change forever. Now, let me ask you something honestly. How many diamonds have you already thrown away without realizing it? How many hours have disappeared scrolling endlessly through your phone? How many dreams have been delayed because you kept saying, "I'll start tomorrow"? How many opportunities have quietly passed by while you waited for the perfect moment that never came? The truth is painful, but it's real. Most people do not lose their future all at once. They lose it slowly, one wasted day at a time, one excuse at a time, one postponed decision at a time. And before they realize it, years have vanished into the river of time. But listen carefully. Tomorrow is an illusion. The only moment you truly own is this one, right here, right now. Every second is a diamond. Every minute you spend growing, learning, building, loving, and improving becomes part of the life you were meant to live. But every moment wasted carelessly is something you will never get back again. The beautiful part of this story is that your dawn has not passed yet. You are still here. You are still breathing, which means you still have diamonds left in your hands. Your story is not over. Your future is still waiting for you to make a decision. So ask yourself honestly, what dream have you been postponing? What part of your life have you been delaying because of fear, comfort, or excuses? And most importantly, what would happen if you finally started today? If this story touched your heart and opened your eyes to the true value of time, subscribe to Lessons for Life Tales for more powerful life lessons and inspiring stories that can transform the way you think and live. And if this message inspired you, share it with someone who may need this reminder today. Thank you so much for watching and spending these precious moments with us. And always remember, stop postponing and start living. Because every moment is a diamond waiting to shine.